Something people don't know about podcast disclaimers. They're the ultimate cover our butts move. All right, folks, let's get real. You know those disclaimers at the start of podcasts? The ones that say these opinions are our own and not our employers, friends, or anyone who might sue us. Yeah, those. Why do we need them? Because Stacey and Casey here, well, we might say something bonkers. And we don't want you blaming our bosses, our moms, or that guy who bagged our groceries last week. Nope, it's all on us, people. Think of it like this. We're just two dudes with microphones and way too much free time. And while we're at it, let's be clear. Our jokes, rants, and random thoughts, purely our own genius or nonsense. Depends on the day, so sit back, relax, and remember, if you're offended, it's definitely not because of our employers. It's all Stacey and Casey, baby. Covering our butts, one disclaimer at a time.
What it do, baby?
What it is, Jive Turkeys?
Hey, I'm Stacey.
And I am Casey. And this is
The Stacey and
Casey Show.
Hey,
shout out to Ryan Jones. These are the coolest sunglasses I have ever had. Hey.
add a little bit of the swag
Hey.
factor, that's for sure.
Hey,
When
that
you
comes
say-
out natural. I'm Italian at heart, and it's soul, and
the
bloodline,
Guido.
and DNA.
It's the Guido.
The
Yeah.
Guido. So it comes out, hey, it comes out natural. It's like, hey, what am I, an asshole, baby? Go fuck yourself. Hey, go fuck yourself. Okay, that's kind of rude. I'm sorry.
Well, it looks to me like you got new safety glasses for the shop. Summertime, it's,
And that video that you just saw with the scroll saw and me making that handle, looking at that, and being in a certain situation that I'm in, I'm thinking that was the second stupidest thing I did all week long, without a doubt. Hands down, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's crazy. So tell us, I'm just curious, how did it happen?
Okay, I got an incision right here on my hand, and people are asking, oh, did they sew it up? No, it's open like a big, disgusting open fracture. That's what they call it.
His fingers look like sausages.
Actually, the swelling went down. I'll show it. Actually, no, if we get any requests, I'll take it off. But it looks pretty gross. But it's still open because, okay, here's what happened. I make knives, as you can see. And I was holding the knife with this hand. And it was sticking up. The blade is on this side. And I just finished stone sharpening this blade. This thing's sharp as can be, like a razor sharp. And I take the drill with the other hand. I start drilling through the little hole in the... Anyways, didn't put it in a vise. As soon as the fucking the drill bit grabbed a hold of the knife, it spun it around and it chopped the back of my hand, full speed.
Now, mind you, he already sharpened the knife.
This knife is so sharp that when it hit me with that amount of force and it happened that fast, I forgot what side of the knife was the sharp side. And before you show this, I remember when I looked down at my hand afterwards, I go, shit. And that's that sound you're going to hear, that sound of like, this is going to take up a lot of my time. You can only hear the incident.
This
you don't
is
see
gonna
it.
take up a lot.
But first you hear me put the drill bit in. It explains it. Like, turn it up. And that was the knife and the piece of bone that it took out. It took out the back part of my pinky knuckle, which is why it is not closed right now. Urgent care said they couldn't sew it up because it's an open wound fracture, it's called. And I go in Thursday to the hand surgeon, and they were going to put me under, but he said it's not mandatory. I was like, cool, don't do it. So they're just going to numb out my hand and open it up and do some research, clean it out, and get some good stitches. And I learned my lesson, though.
Make me want to throw up.
Dude.
Talking about doing that without going under? Like, what? You're going to sit there and watch them do this?
I still have the bone fragment, so I'm actually going to work that into the handle and epoxy it into the handle. And
You're gonna sit there and watch them do this? Like,
I asked
my brain is scrambled right now.
I asked the doctor today because he was like, "We can just give you local anesthetic," and I was thinking, "Local? You gonna get it from like Walgreens?" But no, the local I guess means local to where he's doing the surgery instead of putting me under. Because I was like, "You put me under?" He's like, "Yeah." Cool. I was like, "Hey, I'm not squeamish." Actually, I was like, "Would it be okay if I said, would it be okay if I videotaped it with my phone?" And the doctor's like, "Yeah, we can't allow that." I was like, "Okay, I didn't think so, maybe for insurance reasons or whatever." But and I actually told him, I was like, "Me and my buddy do a podcast, and I think that'd be a good opener, showing like all the insides of your hand." And he was like, "Really? Would you do a podcast on like what, knife making?" I laughed. I was like, "No, I'm a better chicken farmer than a knife maker." But yeah, no, it was my doctor seems cool, and I trust him, and he's gonna be inside me on Thursday at 3 o'clock.
It's a
Wow.
real weird way to put it, but
Hey, I
okay.
told you he looked smart. He had wide eyes. Looked like he was sober, and he had a big frontal lobe
Like he
and a
was
and a bald
sober.
head. And I think of like bald people as being smart. I think because my dad's bald, John, and he's like really smart. So ever since then, it's like I see a bald guy, is like right out of the gate. He probably knows something I don't.
They got the white coat for a reason.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna knock anybody. I am always paranoid. But I was also the one telling you go to the doctor. So
yeah. I actually didn't go to the doctor out of the gate. It happened on Saturday, and Paula wasn't home, so I went inside and I poured some hydrogen peroxide on it, and then I straightened out my hand to keep the wound closed, and I sprayed some dermaplast on it, which is kind of sticky to kind of like hold it. And I put a pizza box to keep my hand straight. So I saved the bone just in case I needed it later, but I wasn't going to go anywhere. And then by the time Monday rolled around, 2 days later, people were like, "You didn't go in for that yet?" And it's still splitting open. It was like, I was like, "Yeah, I guess
he
I should
actually
go."
has the videos posted on his personal YouTube.
Yeah, and
Casey Falcon Crane on YouTube.
and the shit sound that you hear in that video, I said you can almost hear the level of shit it is because there's like different levels. If you hear somebody go shit, that's like cool but fucked up.
Surprise. Yeah.
Surprise. You hear shit. That's like something that happened out of nowhere. I spilled my coffee on my leg.
Yep.
And then mine was more like shit. Like, my next few days or weeks or months are gonna be fucked. Shit. So it wasn't like a
That
pain
was a
or
firm
like
shit.
oh no, I'm worried about my well-being. It's like this is gonna take a lot of fucking time. So that's why I try to do it myself.
I'm
But no,
curious, has anybody else had an experience like this, knife making or
dude,
doing one of their hobbies that they, do for fun? You ever almost cut your hand off, cut your
yeah.
finger
Please
off?
tell me I'm not the only one, and I'll never use a scroll saw in that sense again
So
either.
I'm just curious because something we talked about earlier this week is living it versus learning it. So
Yeah.
this definitely falls in the living it category, but and I think it falls in the learning category as well. I mean, what would you label it as?
And with that topic, Stacy's talking about living it, learning it is like being book smart opposed to being street smart. It's going out there and doing a bunch of shit and knowing it, or reading in books and knowing a bunch of shit and then going out to do it. So
Yeah.
this is the perfect example of
Kind of like
living it.
I like the one of my favorite ones is like the guy that trained karate for 10 years but never has been in a street fight.
That's a perfect example. Like I've
Like,
watched a lot of karate movies, and in my head, I can whoop anybody's ass. But unless you put your fist to face, you don't know if you can do it.
hey, that's real shit. I
That's why
mean,
some people are grapplers. I
not,
mean,
hey,
there's
that's true
you
too.
know,
That's why wrestling is there, But I was thinking about with your knife, right? You don't know until you do it. You can read all the books you want, but you don't know until you do it. So, as a person who has studied and researched a little bit,
a
do
lot.
you think the reading and the study you've put into it gave you more experience than the actual doing it? Now that you've done it a few times, do you find yourself
That's a
like,
good question because I did research on this for years. I mean, I do it wasn't like I was like studying for like some big test, but shit, I was into it. I was looking into it, following people, learning shit. Um, I'd say definitely learn more by doing it.
You learned a lot right there, didn't you?
Oh, and actually, and okay, let me explain this. In that video, you see that the camera is set up to the vise because I just finished getting off the sander. My next step was putting the hole in it, and
You tried
I
to
was
do the
like,
quick
I
route.
was in a zone, is what it was. I was doing this, and I was holding it. I was like, got the drill. You put the new drill bit in. I was like, oh, I got the knife. Oh, I'm just making the hole a little bit bigger. Oh, I can just do this without even thinking it, processing that you're turning a steel bit into steel and shaving it at RPMs that are unfathomable. And I'm thinking in my head, what, I'm so fucking strong like Superman. I can withstand the force. As soon as that thing caught, it was a no-brainer. It flipped so fast and so hard. I mean, dude, it was like reality check. I thought immediately, my wife's not here. I hope I don't bleed out. Because I was
Real
thinking,
shit.
you look at your back of your hand right now. Everybody look at your back. You got all those fucking veins in there. See all those bumps? I
Okay.
was picturing all those bumps being severed. Look at your right above your pinky. Nothing. Nothing until you get to your middle. I got lucky I hit where I hit because it wasn't a
If
big
it would have went
gusher.
the other way, it would have been terrible.
Oh man, I might have sliced through a little bit of a tendon, but not severed because I have functionability. I can do this on the other side, just not real hard. So said I should have a full recovery. So I look at it as a positive. Like I learned my
It's a
lesson,
learning experience.
and yeah, learning experience. Just like I was telling Stacy, the first time like you ride motorcycles, you can read about motorcycles and it's like driving and learn this and that. But it's not till the first time that you go to step on the brakes and you realize it takes a lot longer to slow down on a motorcycle when you're going fast. Less wheels,
Never rode
less
one.
points of friction. Oh, I remember the first time I was going fast and I was just like daydreaming. I was like, oh, I got time to stop. And the bike wasn't stopping. It was like more sliding. And I just coasted right into the freaking halfway into the intersection. I feel like a fucking dumbass. But
Lucky to be alive. Blessed is what
hey,
some would
I'm
say.
telling you, and I've learned my lessons so many times where shit, I'm glad I'm still here. You can see how you have that one friend who died in high school because he flew off the hood of a car while surfing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, some people
Anything.
learn the hard way, Watch Teen Wolf one too many times. Hashtag I'm old. Hashtag Teen Wolf rocks.
Yes, it does. Actually, I was a Teen Wolf guy.
Hell yeah.
I fucked with Teen Wolf.
I like when his dad walks in, his dad's all covered in hair. Son, we need to talk.
No, as far as I like the living and learning it part because it's life changing. First time driving a car, same thing like driving a bike. You think it's going to be easy from video games. It's easy still, don't get me wrong. But I just wonder, and I say the living versus learning it because you did something today. Now, I called it math tricks for beginners, right? Because I'm curious for the people out there listening when you count, right? When you count on your fingers, do you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then restart, right? Or if you're doing addition on your fingers, do you start from the number and then count? This blew my fucking mind. I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie.
Okay, explain. Earlier, they showed me an award that Stacy Bonds Jr. got in math, saying that
Third, Stacy Buns the third.
the third. I apologize, but anyways, he got a math, award, and I gave him. I was like, "Quick, what's 7 plus 8?" And I really put him on the spot, and he kind of thought about it for a second. He got too much into his head, so I was like, "Okay, what is it? 7 plus 8? Okay, hold up 8. Okay, show me 8 fingers." So he held up 8 fingers, and I was like, "Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12." And he started doing it with me. 12, 13, 14, 15. He goes 15. I was like, "There we go." And Stacy's standing here watching, like,
Bro, I've never seen anybody count on their fingers, right? So I don't count on my fingers. So it blew my fucking mind when he was like, start at 7, add 8. I was like, bro, who counts like that? So I'm just curious because this week I had my mind blown by another coworker here named April, who was like, have you guys ever learned the 9 trick? How to do multiplication on your fingers by 9. Have you learned this trick?
nines are the first set of multiplications that are memorized just because it's easy as fuck.
Have you learned this trick with
9,
your
18,
fingers?
27, 36, 45, 54,
Give
37,
give me a math problem.
9 times
9
7.
9 times 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Drop your 7, right? You have 72. Right? Or it's after 7. You drop 72. Right? That's 9 times 7. Or no, 9 times 7, 63. Sorry. So yeah, 63. I should have just looked at my fingers.
Man, April's fucking you up, Stacy.
Yeah, because I do math in my head. But look, you count out 6, and then you count out 3. 63, 9. It's the same thing when you do it with 72. When you do it with 18, 1, 2, and then you drop, right? Or 1, 2. Then you have 18. I never thought about this teaching your kids multiplication if you're trying to teach shit with your fingers. It's a pretty quick little ingenious trick.
Oh yeah, like
Now I know how to do multiplication when you say it, right?
Yeah, I
But
gotcha.
when you're counting it on your fingers, when you're giving it to your kid,
if you were to learn that way the first
first time,
time,
you'd be
then-
like, "Damn, that's crazy," because it's a cheat code.
Yeah. You
And
know
it-
why I learned it? My parents had one of those, and tell me if you guys remember these. Remember, it has like, I'm sure everybody's had these before. It has like 1 to 10 and 1 to 10, and you match them up, and you push the button, and like when you push it in, it reveals the answer.
Number, yep.
Yeah, and I remember going the 9 times all of them. I remember memorizing it just as a little
Mhm.
kid. So I was the first kid in my class to memorize all the 9s.
Same. So mine was 1 through 12. It was an owl, blue owl, 12, 12, and I was the first one in my class to do multiplication through 12. So it was, for me, always been a cool thing. But when I thought about that, I was like, man, all these people that don't know how to do math, if they knew these little cheat codes. So if anybody else has a cheat code out there that they want to share, I would love to hear, because math cheat codes are kind of cool, especially when you have young kids.
Speaking of young kids and math cheat codes, this is kind
It's
of messed
weird
up.
when she said when she clicked on the feed, it took her to someone else's podcast. That's crazy. 5 attempts it took to see your podcast. That's from Facebook. Well, if we're having issues on Facebook, I highly recommend checking us out on YouTube as well. It's another good place to see us, and they don't really censor us. But as far as I think about those things, because again, as a father, there's little things you want to teach. And like we talked about safety in the shop with now don't drill metal to metal. I think
Holding it in
math
your
is
hand,
something
putting the
that's,
device.
I'm proud of him being a math leader, because that is something that is essential to everyday life.
Mhm.
Numbers don't lie, right? At
Yeah.
the end of the day. But we were talking about with that, what the downfall of America was, right? As far as, in my mind, it's participation trophies, right?
Agreed 100%.
And
Yep.
I feel like after your kid gets into a sport, whether it be soccer, baseball, hockey, whatever, after their first trophy that's given to them for participation, for their memory, they can keep it. But everyone after that, until it's one they've earned, should be thrown in the trash. I think it's a waste of time, waste of effort, because the problem with America, nobody earns it anymore. And that's where I feel participation trophies kill.
And it is a fact that, speaking of which, you can't, oh, how should I put this?
Direct and real.
Well, participation. It's like you wouldn't try to master something unless you knew that there's things you couldn't master. That's why you pick and choose what you do with your life. Not anybody can be a pilot. Not anybody can do this. Not anybody can play soccer. So if you give an award to somebody for playing soccer and you suck, you're going to be pissed off why you're not getting picked for teams or playing for the higher levels. It's almost like you feel entitled. I think participation equals entitlement sometimes.
So the other part of that, you said something in there. I didn't want to interrupt you. I kind of lost
Thank you.
track. As far as what you're saying, as far as participation doesn't accelerate you, right? You don't get picked. It becomes a form of entitlement. What age do you cut it off? Then type like you no longer should get participation trophies. When do we think kids should really learn their place on the totem pole? Is the way to put it.
When there's a pecking order,
Mhm.
I think some parents, hands down, would say right away. There's
I
always that.
agree.
I know a handful of people that say, "Oh, right out of the gate."
I say 5.
To know there's a pecking order. uh, man,
The moment they're watching pros on television, they should know there's a pecking order. These are the best of the best in the world you're watching. So let's watch some college, so you don't think that you're playing at this level, right? Because I watch little kids that want to be LeBron and things like this, right? It took levels to get there. They started at your age, but they also were told you have to earn it. You have to be the best. Now, at what point Are you the over aggressive dad if your son is coming over to you and they're saying, "Am I doing good?" and they're doing bad, and you're like, "No, you're doing terrible. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to work on this. We talked about it." And then he goes back out there and does it. Now I can give the praise, right? But you didn't earn a trophy off of that because it's one game. You you have to have consistency to get those trophies in my mind. Your team, like I have a friend named Jeremy. His son plays soccer. His son has earned every trophy. When I say a top tier soccer player will probably be a pro later in life, is literally they travel and have taken trophies. As a matter of fact, shout out to Caden. He just brought home a trophy out in Florida. Shout out to the Lufuse team. They killed it. But I think about he's earned it. But his dad has also made it a point to where there's winners and losers. And when are we as parents allowed to start teaching our kids there's winners and losers? Because I think it helps them in life.
I think setting them up with yeah, I think when they're young, it's like you got to teach them both. You got to let them compete and show them what losses are, but also set them up for wins. Just like a coach will set up a team and have them play a shitty team as a warm up,
As a booster,
yeah,
yeah.
as a booster. So just give them a little confidence. So you don't want to set them up for failure,
Until the
but you
shitty
also don't
team
want
beats
to
'em.
set them up for failure. You know, you don't want to like make them think they can take on. But man, as I'm like getting older, I recognize, dude, it's not the size you are, it's not the height, it's not the it's all up here. It's like your head connects you to space. It's not the size of you. It's like everybody to me is the same. So
So
it's like,
I remember what I was going to say now when you were talking about not everybody's meant to be everything. I think that anybody can be anything if they're trained to be it from a very young age.
but they gotta want it. It's almost like quitting an addiction. If you don't want it, it's
If
forced.
you
It's not
don't
gonna
know
last.
anything else, how could you want something else?
So that's being. It sounds more like programmed, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but exactly.
I
You
agree with you
you
100%.
technically
Then that
can
is, yeah.
program your kid. You know what I
Tiger
mean?
Woods,
I
even his
think about
sex is very
there's
mechanical.
that F1
We
racer right now
heard.
was literally programmed. His has been working cars right now. He's breaking records. I'm going to get his name and I'm going to share it because I was just reading an article on this guy about how he was the youngest racer in the F1 to take home 5 back-to-back wins. And they were talking to me. He's like, "No, I was programmed this way. I was raised in a car, learning." His dad, instead of setting him up for wins, set him up for failures because his motto was, "It's not how you handle it when you're winning; it's how you're handling it when you're losing." And you have to be prepared for everything. So because his son has been programmed to spot the errors in the programming of the car or whatever it may be that he's operating, he can spot the error before mechanics
So
and
he's like
everything
hella smart.
from field. But is it hella smart or is it you've been programmed?
It's,
Because if you raise a kid, think about this. If your kid didn't go to school,
Mhm.
all he did was play basketball, right? All he did was play soccer. Every moment he's not at school, he's doing this sport or activity. Isn't he bound to eventually be better than everybody else? I mean, you're right. He has to want to do it. But if you force him to put the effort in it, didn't you technically make that? You forced it to be.
Yeah, you can kind of force it, but if the passion's there as well, you really hit that next level. Like a good example, my buddy Mike Paul across the street from me in high school. His dad, Mike Paul Sr., very strict dad. And he made him every single day outside in his homemade half court basketball thing, run drills, do this whole thing. It took him like an hour every day. And he ended up getting a good scholarship to Hawaii. Played basketball, didn't play pros or anything, but it got him started. But he even told me once he didn't love basketball as much as his dad did.
Mm.
So it was a little bit forced on him. It seemed like it's
But is it a negative if it produced him into a? Is he a functional member of society right now?
last I checked, yeah, he actually like he does like inspirational stuff, even some modeling. Very good looking guy, bald head, little facial hair. Looks I don't know. He has that look in him, like in his eye, like
Looking
I
like
know
you
what's
need some
going on.
baby oil over there, man.
Hey, no, did he? He's very, very attractive man. Me and him, he had the he had the NBA jam. So after school, after he finishes basketball drills, we go upstairs to play NBA jams. Me, him, and Chris Peterson, and that was the same time that song, the Grapevine. Heard it through the Grapevine. You know that one song. Oh, who sings that? Temptations. Heard it through the grapevine. Nearly
It's
loved
kinda
by
rem-
my honey, honey, yeah.
It's
Honey,
not
would
ringing a
you be
bell,
my
but I'm sure
baby?
I'm about to be crucified probably for not knowing this
Oh
song.
my God, yeah, you are.
That's crazy.
But anyways, that song came on so many times. We played it back to back to back to back. Mike, joking around, went and got his dad's gun off the story gets dark, right? We're like, we kept playing it downstairs, me and Chris taking turns playing that song over, and he's like, "You guys knock it off." We're like, "Ha ha ha ha." We're like fucking ninth grade, and all of a sudden, Mike's like, "What now?" He walks in with his dad's gun. Me and Chris run down the steps of his house so quick. We start running to the kitchen. He's like laughing, chasing us around. Hindsight 2020 is pretty fucked up.
That took a real dark turn. That said, a friend of mine had his kid play baseball year round for years. Poor kid's shoulders blown out, and he's not even 20.
Damn.
So it's funny you say that. The last time I was at the barbershop, I was sitting down. Turns out there's a high school football coach in there.
Mhm.
And I was asking because me and Asia have been talking about football for little man, and I know full contact allows at 7. So we talked about flag football. And I asked the coach, I said, when do you think is the best time to introduce your kid to full contact football? He looked at me, he said, 12. He said, if you want to get him into it about 6th to 7th grade, roughly 7th, he said you should do other things beforehand. Make sure he's played sports
12.
so he understands teams.
Yeah.
But he said 12 years old is ideal for the brain development, so you're not getting, the concussion and concuss. And they also don't burn out. And I don't think that's something that a lot of parents think about is you're making your kid use this joint or muscle forever. It's going to burn out. And
Yeah.
that's why you see a lot of pitchers who blow their shoulders out, like you just said, Nick, because they've been using it since they were 7, working on that fastball to throw 100 miles an hour and blown out. So I actually I've heeded his warning, and I think that me and Asia are going to wait till about 12 for full contact. But like he actually said, put him in wrestling, basketball, maybe he was like, even put him in volleyball so it helps him with jumping. He was like, but there's different things you'll do that'll work the hips. He said, I was talking about jujitsu. He said, that's good. He said, you want to just focus on hip development. I'm telling this to all the people with young kids. If you want to put them into a sport that's a contact sport, maybe don't do it at such a young age. And that's coming from people that are in the profession. So I think with us talking about, can you make them? The question is, you can make them, but can you keep them functional? Would be the next step. And that's something is
Yeah.
unpredictable. One hit in football ends a career. Basketball, one jump wrong, one fast break wrong, torn a ligament. Baseball can get blown out. Hell, one drowning incident in swimming. I'm sorry.
I think as a parent, it's good to have your kid do a lot of stuff. That's just like a no-brainer. Everybody will say that, but just to let them see what it's like to overcome something that's hard to do. Like the things you fear the most that you overcome are the things you're most proud of, and
Always.
you don't know until that first person pushes you to that limit. If you were
Yep.
to like do the wing and just and protect them from everything and don't let them
It's
overcome.
uncomfortable to see.
Now, my ex stepdaughter, Lily, perfect example. We went to Six Flags. We're having a great time, and we're like, all right, we're going on the Superman. She was so scared, but she said she was going to do it. We get on the ride. She starts crying. She's like, take me off. The whole scene. You've seen kids. I talked the lady into making her stay on it. So she goes up. She comes down in tears. She gets off the ride. She's like, Mom, can I see the phone? And she grabbed the phone. Dad, guess what I just did? It's like she was so proud of herself. And I felt for like an asshole for a second when I was like making her go up and she was crying and I was borderline laughing. But I just knew it was like she was gonna be happy.
It was worth it. Sometimes you got to push them.
Push them.
Everybody has a breaking point. If it's not killing you or physically harming you, do it. At least once, try it.
Try it. Push the envelope.
Push the envelope. And that's something that I know Casey has been big on this year.
And that goes to what we were also talking about, living it opposed to learning it. You can read everything in a book you want and sit on your ass, but until you get up and you experience some shit, you're not going to know what it feels like, or
You can study how to build a house. Don't mean you can build it.
Yeah.
until you go out there and do it. There are people out there that never studied how to build a house that have built a house.
Do you think I knew anything about chickens when I started buying chickens? If you don't go out and actually do it and live in the now and actually act on your thoughts, you're just going to plan and plan and plan and be book smart forever and then talk yourself out of it.
It
I
wasn't
have
book
over
smart, Christian.
100 chickens, and today we got a huge amount of eggs. Do we have a picture of them?
We do.
Oh, I
I'll
know.
get them up.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah, Paula texted me right before the show, and she said we got 52 eggs today.
One day.
52 eggs, and those are that's a turkey egg and 2 duck eggs to the right.
What that is what is it called? Living off the land, providing for yourself, and profits.
And
is
that's
what it looks
also
like.
all. That's my wife walking out there with a big old friggin' bowl filled with blueberries, oats, cut up cabbage. She puts it all in the yard for them. They get all the sunlight.
That looks like profits.
Dude, that looks
What
like
were we
heaven.
talking about? You finally got to a point that it wasn't a negative.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's something
we're
to be
doing the
proud
math.
of.
It's going to start paying for itself on a month-to-month basis instead of.
Man, look, you know what's crazy?
Awesome.
Is like I told you, I need some eggs. Is we were at the store the other day, and I was walking up, and I'm looking. We're walking by. H goes, we need eggs. We stopped by the eggs. I looked at the price of eggs. And I was like, I'm gonna call Casey. I was like, if I'm gonna give this money to somebody, if I'm gonna pay $10 for eggs, I'm just saying, I'd rather give them to somebody I know than to a store that don't give a fuck about me, and it could be old eggs. So if you know Casey, you need any eggs. He's got turkey, duck, chicken. I will say the duck eggs I'm pretty fond of. The turkey eggs are great for egg sandwiches. The chicken eggs are just great for everything. Check them out. Great pricing. You're going to pretty much match the store, but you're going to get a much better quality egg.
Much better quality egg. And also, you can jump on my Casey Falkengren YouTube page and look at the chickens and look at their boxes they lay in and see how they're living. And if it suits well for you, you're going to feel even better about eating that orange, delicious yolk. The duck eggs have more protein. And if you like, I'll even throw one of those duck eggs in with a chicken dozen just so you can try it out.
Next is milking cows and milking goats.
Yes, milking cows and goats.
Once he gets those, we're going to be in luck. We're going to have everything we need.
Yes, and if you're selling cows or goats, let me know. We're looking for...
Or if you know where to get one. For meat, for whatever it may be. Because I'll eat them too.
Ooh, Paula saw a coyote in the neighbor's driveway yesterday, like middle of the day.
Did you get it?
No, I wasn't home. She called in sick because she had a headache. She wasn't feeling
it.
She said all the chickens and everything started doing like their alert noises and running and stuff. So she looked out the front window and just a coyote just sitting in the neighbor's driveway.
Scouting what he was going to eat, or it might have.
She said he was pretty big too. So she said she opened up the door. She grabbed her baseball bat. And she was like, "Get out of here!"
Hey, Paula, I love you to death. I'm gonna shoot you straight. That bat ain't gonna do shit to a coyote. You better grab a gun. Like, we do not want the phone call. A coyote's in the house.
That's funny. That's funny because I said you should put some, grab the gun if that happens. I was like, you remember how to shoot it, right? Because I taught her, and she said, I think. And I said, okay, don't get the gun.
Hey, it's real simple. If it's a wild animal about to jeopardize your life.
She said, "Oh yeah, I'll shoot that thing." I'll be like, "All right, you grab the gun, you shoot it." If I say, "You know how to shoot it, right?" She goes, "I think." It's like I'm like,
even then, shoot it in the ground. The sound will send it running off.
And it's not a secret. I have my grandma gifted me a 38. It's an old school. It's not really to go out and have a great fun time with. And it's an old school. It's like an old Western gun. It's a 6-shooter. I inherited it from my grandma. And if in those 38s, if you actually have your finger over the point of contact, the explosion zone, whatever, it'll damn near sever your finger.
It's a revolver.
It's a revolver. Yeah, the explosion will blast and like break the skin and like
you have to properly handle a firearm.
Exactly, that comes with any case.
If he's for any reason holding that, she shouldn't be operating that at all, and she needs to go to a gun safety course. I'm just telling you.
No, I'm a gun safety course. She never shoots though.
No, I'm saying if she's holding it like this ain't Dirty Harry, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't that be? I think A picture of like shit went down. She turns into a ninja. and
Fucking
she's
no,
like,
she's matching you in the ass with her fucking hand blast. Talk about who's gonna take care of the chicken. I lost the pointer and lost the pinky. I'm sorry. But the way you described it, I'm like, there's no way. Excuse me. But even then, the revolvers, it was literally made in the Wild Wild West for one hand. Shoot it in the ground to scare the coyote away from your chickens. Just something. You know what I mean? And
I had to
even
shoot
then,
it the other day. I went outside because these stray dogs were out there by my chicken coop, and they weren't fucking with the chickens or trying to eat them. But
stray dogs are a dangerous
dude,
thing.
no, it was these like two. It looked like somebody's dogs. I've seen them before, but we don't have very many neighbors, and it almost came from like a catty corner back lot neighbor or something. It's
Through
like
the woods?
yeah, through the woods, because that's when I went out there and I shot a couple rounds into the ground, and they ran off except for one of the kids. It's like a mom dog and the two puppies. These big white dogs. They look like a special breed or something. And when they weren't like attacking my chickens, but they're around them, I was like, all right, they're tame, but I don't want them feeling comfortable.
Not on my block.
And I was thinking, there's three of them. Should I shoot one of the kids? No, I'm just kidding. No, that would have been wrong. I would not do that.
No, it's probably somebody's animals
I
over
know,
there. But I will say, if they were wild, that's something to watch. But
no, I've seen them before, but sometimes they look dirty, like they've been living off the land. And sometimes they look like they just came from a groomer. I've seen
what
them
if
like 5
they're?
times.
I was gonna say, what if they're like farm dogs, or what if they just came out of a pond?
I
they
just
just
don't
clean
trust them.
themselves.
For all I know, they're shapeshifters, and they came out from a hole in the ground. They come up and they
Hey, don't
feed.
say I believe in that skinwalker shit sometimes with the stories you hear. So do not. I'll never come back to your house talking about
The
you.
way
got
these dogs are
skinwalkers.
running together. It's
No,
almost
the
like
way
they're
you
people
talked
running
about
on
that
4
fucking
legs.
peacock and that motherfucker arrived, and I was like, that's a skinwalker. That's a skinwalker if I ever seen it. No need to just no. That was the first time ever in my life I was like, that's gotta be a skinwalker if I've ever seen one. We talked about it, and this motherfucker arrived at the most random time.
We're chilling in the backyard, just chilling, and all of a sudden, a head of a peacock pops up in the brush. Like, what are you guys doing?
And not like we're not talking the male peacock with the big, beautiful spur, right? We're talking about a female peacock, white peacock. And he just told me that there had been a peacock there. I think we talked about this before. And motherfucker popped up, and I was just like, this motherfucking knows we're talking about it, and it was coming to see if we're alone, coming to see if it could take us both. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was a wild one. So skinwalkers are real, and there's Skinwalker Ranch. There's a whole fucking TV show about it.
Don't get me started. Don't go down that rabbit hole. Look up mutilated cows, and give me an answer if you think there is one. There's not.
I know I'm watching.
With how long ago it started and the kind of precision they use, it is so effing bizarre.
It's left me perplexed, sitting in my bed at night, literally wondering like if they can do this to a cow, which is probably not the most rough and tough animal to buck you off. It's not a bull, it's a cow. You know, it's a heifer. It's not a bull. What could they possibly do to people? Because they talk about probing humans, and I already, in my mind, have many thoughts of what we think we would do if we get taken up there, right?
Yeah.
But when you watch Skinwalker Ranch, you realize if they're doing shit like this, you ain't got no fucking hope if you end up there. Okay, these motherfuckers are surgeons with that bitch, Jake.
They're coming down. Maybe they're making. I think chickens also are going to be abducted a lot by aliens. They don't get noticed as much. They probably take the whole chicken instead of just mutilating parts. I think that we're provided with animal and livestock that we can produce in large quantities for feed, but it's set there for a reason because aliens come down and they take their anuses off, a lot of their face pieces, their genitals, and those on cows for some reason are really important to another population. So
really
if anything, we should start looking into like
why
their face
they
tissue, their testicles, and their anuses, and seeing what's so like.
I think it's the other way around. I think they're like, man, they eat the whole part of this fucking animal. They eat everything off here, but this.
No,
this.
They take those parts and they leave the rest of the cow, so they need just those parts. So we should have a whole school dedicated to just those parts of the cow and different things to do with it.
Well, that's also
we'll
could be because they're like, maybe they won't notice this because they don't eat this, right? Like if you think about the other side of it, what if we're giving them too much credit?
Cow anus.
No, I've never. But I'm saying, really think about it. The shit that you don't eat, right? That's what they're taking. So what if in their head they're like,
Oh,
We're gonna leave the cow. They won't trip because they can use the rest of it.
they won't trip. Says God forbid they get suspicious.
They won't even notice. They just want the fillet.
Like, this is weird, but at least they left us the good stuff.
They love their ribs. They love.
Those are the same ones that left that crate of food over in Jamaica.
Wild.
Yeah.
But I think about that sometimes because I'm like, man, skinwalkers, you get these videos of animals showing up and disappearing. And I really do believe that skinwalkers are real. And Paula said they do experiments.
Paula is the one that turned me on to
I
it.
watched a whistleblower saying they abduct us all the time and use our bodies. All those missing people over decades and decades. Yeah, not all of them, but most maybe. But then again,
You know what? It's just like politics and
Man.
whistleblowers. Can you get sold on somebody's story?
good
And
enough.
what's their motive? I always
So-
think, what's their motive?
I want to present another thing, right? Organized crime is a real thing. There have been serial killers out there that have been proven to feed people to people. Okay. So I think that a lot of the missing people are worked into our sausage, worked into our McDonald's. Yep. Things like that.
Yep.
No proof, don't sue me. But it's as far as see the disclaimer.
If you test the McDonald's meat, it
Man,
will have human
I
meat in it.
went
That is a
down
fact.
the Soylent. We didn't even talk about this. The Soylent Green rabbit hole this week. We're talking rabbit holes, right?
It's a fact.
Do that again. Soylent Green. It's basically people. Keep us in that. That's a good. It's basically people, right? Being turned into food. Now I want everybody out there look at Soylent Green and tell me what you think. But they're saying that we're being worked into food, worked into different, pretty much everything. And when you look at graveyards, that's why you don't see any more cemeteries popping up. You don't see any new graveyards.
You know what? You just triggered me.
Okay, go for it.
You didn't trigger me per se. You triggered an idea
Thought.
that I always have: how stupid fucking cemeteries are. Take them out of the box, let them decompose in there, and don't use up all the fucking land, the nice fucking green fields for
Well, I mean,
a bunch
they
of
would be
dead
good-
people.
They
Why-
would be good food plant for plants.
I mean, the only cool thing about cemeteries is you can't build on them, so it keeps people from building on. Other than that, it's like bodies should give back to the earth, kind
You
of
know,
like
back in the day,
Avatar,
they used to build them on
Avatar.
their property. They bury them on their property.
And that is fucking genius. Put a little cross up, memor them all you want, but you don't need to fucking dedicate this space right here for eternity for people that are never going to go fucking visit you.
I'm gonna go another route. You don't need to spend $20,000 on a box and a memorial service for people that should have been there when you were living. Okay, you guys can gather at somebody's house and celebrate. I don't need to pay $10,000 to open this grave, another $10,000 for this casket. I don't need to. I mean, for me, they've made funerals as expensive as a nice wedding because you're celebrating the life. I told Asia the other day, I dead ass, when we get off, we go upstairs, you can ask her. I said, we need to open a funeral parlor. I said, I'm a fucking salesman.
And then my
I'll
point of
sell
that,
the shit out of a casket.
my point of that being is, how are you going to want to be remembered? How are you going to want to go, and how are you going to want yourself to be presented when you're dead? Because the way I would want to be presented doesn't mean that I would treat somebody else's whole experience when they die the same way I would want it. Because the way I would want it would be so low key.
My dad wanted to be his words verbatim. God forgive me, Aunt Mary, Uncle Bob, you're gonna hate hearing this. He dead ass said, push me out of the side of the car on 367.
That's so dark.
Somebody will pick me up. They'll get that taken care of. I was like, what? I was 14, and so I didn't believe him. Fast forward, I'm 18. He says the same shit, same location. Dump me here. I'm like, what the fuck? So when my dad passed away and we had to pull the plug, I said to my mom, I said, should we dump him on 367? Like, I'm like, are we doing him justice, letting him die here he wanted to go on 367. Like, there was something important about that highway. He just wouldn't explain it to us. So it was something that me and her had an inside joke, but it is to me, I mean, great nutrients for the ground. And I
100%.
oh, look at that, Paula. But our bodies are good for the ground. I mean, we're nutrients. I mean, you look at war fields, Gettysburg, the ground, luscious.
Mm.
You know, you look at any big war zone area, luscious grounds.
If anything, you should be able to choose like a process where instead of like burning you into ash, which is a real fucking waste, such a waste.
I think, well,
How about grinding you up
both of my
into?
parents are cremated, so I don't know.
I want to get grinded up into meat sausage and fed to chickens. That sounds fucking awesome. Not only am I giving back to a food that it's going to take my human meat, just like McDonald's, and go through their system and turn it into an egg that you
They
can
s-
eat.
they
It's almost like
started
taking
using-
like carbon dioxide
This
turned
is
into oxygen.
from Paula, my bad. They started using boxes because they thought decomposing bodies would contaminate the ground and the water in the ground for wells. Actually, it was the embalming fluid, but before that, actually, they were encased because they were afraid of the zombie epidemic. And there was zombies, and then there was vampires. They were saying so. There were certain. You go back in time, you'll even see coffins with stakes driven through hearts still because they wanted to encapsulate and stop them. But the cement boxes and casings came around because of the embalming fluid was contaminating the wells and things like that. But the encapsulating the dead also goes back to mummy times and royalty. But it was a status symbol then. And it's death has gone all over. And when I tell you I watched some crazy documentaries, but to think that the vampire and zombie thing was so real that that's where we get into the embalming. But this is real shit. Then they got into embalming to stop people from digging people up and eating them. Like there's crazy shit when you find out the true facts and shit. You're like,
Well, everybody wants to try to eat
no,
somebody else.
how barbaric were we that we were digging up bodies and eating them?
Dude,
the fuck was going on?
I literally thought, like for a couple evenings there, that we're hitting the zombie epidemic once the bath salt started.
Oh, dude,
When you saw that dude on the highway looking up at the camera and it looked like he was feasting on that body, I said, "That's a zombie right there."
there were, yeah, that and what was the other one that was making people
Bath salts.
eat shit? They were eating people. There was another one though. I think it was
the
the bath
bath
salts.
salts. Yeah.
Like I was like,
Yeah.
I think it was these motherfuckers were eating people. Like what the
And
fuck?
am I the only person that thought like deep down, like in the back of their mind, they're thinking, man, what are these bath salts like? Like, you know?
That's real. That's
Oh.
real. I didn't think about that. Hunger. They didn't have stores back then. I don't know, man. That's pretty barbaric. Okay, to eat the dead. You know,
I would
got
not
one.
do it
I got a question for you.
unless I had to.
You want your body to be cut up into sausage and fed to chickens.
Yeah, sausage machine fed to chickens.
How could you make that happen?
Well, I have a wife. I'm gonna die before, so
Do you think she could make that happen?
we do have a KitchenAid. I already know she's gonna want to hide the evidence. So
Well, Paula, you heard him, but damn, don't do my guy like that.
that's in a situation where my wife murdered me.
That's
Didn't
crazy.
No, but
I think about this shit for real whenever, like, people always are like, you don't eat hamburger? No, I don't eat hamburger. You don't eat sausage? Fuck no. That could be easily a ground up human that you're trying to feed me. And anytime, I told Asia this the other day, I said, bacon never fucked with my stomach. I eat bacon now. It tears me apart because I don't eat pork for real, like not religious reasons. I just don't really eat it unless it's every once in a while thin sliced pork chops. If I really want them, that's like once every 8 months out of memory to my mom. But I really don't eat pork. And anytime I eat bacon, it tears me apart. And I really believe 100% that it is pigs are being fed people. That's what I came up with.
man, and you know what? And if that's actually going on, you really
There
wouldn't
are
want
still
to. You really
cannibal tribes.
wouldn't want to have any other way because if you
I
had
don't
had to
wanna get
substitute
fucking ate,
all
bro.
that people meat for like different meat to feed them to get their protein, I mean, We eat other animals. Why can't animals eat us? So that way,
Animals refuse to eat us unless they have to eat us because of the taste of the person.
amen.
So my question is, why as a human would you ever want to?
I wonder if Asians taste.
Remember,
are
you
like
don't
less.
eat them if they got tattoos. If they got
What
tattoos,
nationality
it
would you
taints the
want to
meat.
eat
What?
if you had to eat a person?
Take a Brazilian cow. A Brazilian cow.
Brazilian
Yeah, Brazilian beef. They make some really good beef. If not, I want like a fucking Black Angus. What am I choosing? Cow, beef, motherfucker. I'm not. You scared? I will never in my life ever fathom. It would be baby meat though if I had to do it.
Wow. I know that's not what I was looking for.
Hey, we talked about this at the end of the world scenarios. It would have to be baby meat. It ain't tainted. But
Well, for one, a baby's not going to produce, not going to do chores, take care of the chickens.
it's a liability.
It's a liability.
The whole
You're not
way
going to
through.
feed a baby to chickens. That's how many chickens are you going to feed with one baby. Now, the nourishment a human can get from one baby.
I wouldn't feed a human to chickens.
Would you eat a fetus? Not a fetus. Would you? Would you? Eat, no, would you? Would you? This is
I
getting
eat
dark.
eggs all the time. Okay?
Mom, turn it off. Mom.
Hey, you had me start looking around for a cigarette. I'm like, holy
Mom,
shit.
don't listen to this part. You're not going to talk to me.
I do eat fetuses though all the time. I eat eggs.
We talked. I was going to say the afterbirth because that's been talked about being.
And you know
eaten
what's funny
before.
because
Many a time. There's a recipe book for
when
like
Asia
for
had
the
little
afterbirth.
man, I was like, "You're gonna eat the placenta."
Yeah.
She looked at me. She was like, "No, the fuck, I'm not."
Wasn't the sign of manhood like back in the day when the afterbirth comes out, you pick it up. You
The
take a
man
bite
don't
out
eat
of
it. The woman eats it because
Yeah.
it puts the nutrients back in their body.
That is.
And you also want to leave the, if you can. And this was something I want to shout out our doctor because she was good at it. She said I can do it as long as I can, but they have a timer they want me to cut it by. And that's when I knew shit was scheduled. That's fucking with the
I know. Sorry,
But,
it's bugging me.
is the what is it? The umbilical cord. When it comes out, you want to leave it attached as long as possible because it'll pump all the nutrients in the baby. And they have signs and science behind if you cut it too quick, it can lead to autism.
Think of
It
it
can
like a
lead to other
portable
special
charger
needs.
for your phone. The longer you leave it plugged in,
You should technically leave it plugged in until it is done pumping the fluid. Dead ass. You look into African birth, you should also give childbirth standing up. Asia thought I was crazy all the way through, so she didn't do any of this. As far as I was trying to sell her on it, but I do know that they actually have companies that will put your placenta into pill form for you to take and get the nutrients back, which is disgusting. But it is proven that it does help the woman get the nutrients back in their body. That's insane.
Sometimes I step out of my body and I listen to Us in the Moment. And I think, man, I'm
This is
45
crazy.
years old, 2 grown men talk about eating placentas
Which I'll
in
never
the basement of a house.
You act like it's an ugly house or a trap house. It's a nice house. This is a nice house, okay?
I've been watching too many movies to know what a trap house is. This is way nicer than a trap house. Definitely not a trap
This
house.
definitely doesn't look like the one I seen in the movie.
Nope. Your walls are probably just insulated.
Oh,
with
shit.
insulation.
And Paula just seconded. She said, especially if they're breastfed. Yes, if they're breastfed, it is actually amazing for the nutrients.
Paula, quit talking like that. Get me all riled up.
I will say, I think it's pretty amazing learning versus,
learning in the experience opposed to just reading
it's
or
nature
watching.
versus nature, right? Or nature versus nurture, basically. But living it, the first perfect example while we're talking about pregnancy, your first kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
You read all these books. The second time you have a kid, you don't treat it nowhere near like you did the first one. Because guess what? We've been through this. We know what's going on. He's okay. Relax. I got him. You know what I mean?
Superpower, bro. That the first time, and I explained this, and I've had a lot of agreeances. The first time I held my daughter Jocelyn, my firstborn, and I had her in my arms, I immediately just pictured myself with a fucking cape on, like I just got a superpower. Nothing's gonna hurt this fucking thing. That's how I felt.
Nothing's gonna hurt my baby.
Yeah.
It's funny because You know I'm religious. The first thing I did when they handed them to me, I immediately prayed over. That was me. God, strength, health, smarts. I want you to be fun, cool.
I want
But
you to be fun, cool.
yeah, no, because real shit. I
Yeah.
told Asia, I was like, man, you can judge me all you want, but I'm just gonna say, not everybody's kids are cool. Okay, you know, you're the one I've met. You know, I've met one of your daughters. She was cool. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah, she's
You've been
funny.
blessed with a cool kid. She's got personality. Some people's kids don't have personality. And I was terrified that my little guy wasn't gonna like me and I wasn't gonna like his ass. Okay? Like I was a true fear of mine. And I say that anybody who has a kid, if you don't worry about are you gonna like your kid, it ain't worrying about did you fail. Man, what if you're just a little asshole? What if you're just a crybaby? Like there's things that you think you can change, but some people's kids, maybe they made them that way and I don't know it, but they're just not cool. And I was so terrified of not having a kid that I could vibe with.
Hey, but you know what? When you grow up, you start, envying the kid who doesn't care about what anybody else thinks. And I'll be honest, I cared what people thought about what I wore. I didn't like how my mom didn't let me wear baggy pants because all the cool kids had baggy pants and I had to wear the tight pants. And
Everybody goes through the
if
phase of
man,
wanting to be cool.
but
I mean,
that confident kid,
that's what I mean by cool. Of like, he walks in the room, he's not afraid. He meets your friends, he gives me daps. You know what I'm saying? He shows off his muscles. Talking about my son, like he's nervous or timid, but if you talk to him, he speaks back. He can sit in the room with us and not make it awkward by like doing some weird shit. You know what I mean? Like walking up and being like, "Hey, look at this," and you know what I mean, and doing some weird off the wall shit, like fucking like you talking about a kid in ninth grade pulling out a gun. Like, I think about my son likes to listen. He likes to observe. He likes like he loves whenever I show him pictures of your knives. Like he is. I'll put it like this. I'm glad I have a kid that is compassionate and caring because there are a lot of kids that just don't give a fuck. Their
yeah,
electronics have completely brainwashed them to not caring. My son is, in my personal opinion, you know him, you can tell the truth. Don't hurt my feelings, but he's a pretty cool little dude. You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
I'd hang out with him before I hang out with a couple other people's kids I know. But I'm partial. You know what I mean? And I also wouldn't hang out with anybody else's kids. So you know, it's kind of one of those things. I don't know.
The little things. Don't give your kid your phone while he's in the cart and you're walking through the grocery store. I know
Oh,
he's
you gotta
bored.
teach
He's
him.
going to want to ask for everything. But hey, he'll be more observant. He'll know the layout of a grocery store. So one day when he goes into one, he doesn't need to call his mommy and ask where to go. Just saying.
Yeah, and that's one. Teach him how to change a tire. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Character building.
One time I was shopping, Jocelyn said, she was like, Dad, that's a better deal over here, blah, blah, blah. And she had a good point. I was just grabbing shit off the shelves and
She saved you some money,
she saved
guys.
me some money. And to this day, she is way better at budgeting. Speaking
That's
of budgeting, I'm keeping this 50 cents we used for that 15-minute warning. I need this. Times are tough.
whatever works. But as far as we want this week to be not only a reading your book, fucking get out there and live something, do something.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? And speaking of which, this is the best time. Get plants started. Put them in napkins, in a Ziploc bag. Google it. Put some plants in the pots this year. Grow your own tomatoes. You only use them for a couple dishes. You can say you grew it yourself. You're going to feel a sense of
Onions.
achievement.
Onions are an easy one to grow.
Green beans are
Green
the
beans, he
shit.
swears by.
Green beans are like weeds.
Peppers, he grew jalapenos.
You got 90 pepper plants inside little fucking egg carton holders right now with dirt.
We just started some peppers. I'm actually right after this show about to go out and spray and kill all the dandelions. Like that's literally what I'm about to do.
I'm gonna go home and eat some eggs or something. And oh man, I had a shake last night. Bluebell, vanilla, blueberries, almond milk. Oh my god, I was just blah, blah, blah.
Sounded like a rich motherfucker talking to me. Almond milk.
Ooh-wee.
Almond milk.
You ever seen a farmer milk an almond?
Man, I'm so serious. It'd be dope if you got a milking cow or goat. Like fresh milk.
Man, I never milked a goat before, but I bet you I can milk the shit out of a goat.
I mean, from what I've heard, it's kind of like beating your dick. You just yolk up, yolk
Yeah, I remember
couple
we jumped
yolks
that one
up,
dude.
yolk down. What? No, I was watching it literally yesterday on fucking what is it called, Amazing Race, and they were like, "Yeah, you grab it way down at the base, get a good grip and tuck it a few times, and then
Oh, the milk in the cow.
yeah, the milk in the
Yeah.
cow." I was like,
Yeah, it's almost like
"That's crazy." I was like, "That's crazy." Or like, yeah, I
hey,
don't
you're
know.
milking it.
I don't know. I just know do something great this. Well, first off, Happy Earth Day. I didn't know it was Happy Earth Day, but
Happy Earth Day.
Get a chicken, plant a tree,
Get a
plant some
chicken,
peppers,
plant a
plant some
tree,
green beans.
green beans, cucumbers,
Do something
hot
this week.
peppers,
Give a memory where you can remember it.
and yeah.
I'm Stacy,
I'm Casey.
and y'all have a great night.
Peace.